Welcome to Venice, a city like no other. In a city where history meets the future of medicine. A unique forum for innovation, collaboration, and excellence. Meet the expert, May 9 and 10, 2025.
Yes, good morning. Here we are in Venice. It's the second day of European Spine Journal Meet the Experts 2025, and I'm very honored because our guest today is Max Aebi. We will know more about him, but we will especially ask him what is behind the idea of this course that he basically launched 10 years ago. And he will tell us also about his thoughts about how spine surgeons should be concretely educated. So, Max, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
So, we were discussing before why we were preparing to start the on-air session about what you thought when you launched not only European Spine Journal Meet the Experts, but, and we say ESJ Meet the Expert because you were the founder, the editor-in-chief of European Spine Journal. So help us to understand those years, what you thought, how everything was connected, the journal and this event.
Yeah, you know, when this journal started really to grow and to take off, it became one of the three top journals in the world about in spine. And we thought that it's not enough to basically distribute so-called research results and things like that. I think we decided that we want to create a platform where you have also the possibility to train and to educate, you know. And I think it is very important that science is so-called objective. But if you do training, you have to be related to patients because at the end of the day, medicine and specifically spine surgery is not an exact science. This is a narrative science. That means already in the last century, at the end, I also was the co-founder of the AO Spine. We introduced a complete different system of education. That means we had education sessions, where always at the beginning cases were presented. And then there was, for this specific topic of the case, there was formal lecture just to give knowledge. And after that, then the participants, they had to discuss the case on the base of the knowledge. And at the end, you know, the case was then presented from the surgeon who did the case with his explanation. So that gives a much more bigger interaction between the teachers and the people who are educating. So we applied that already for 10 to 15 years in the AO Spine. And then we said we will do that also from the journal, because this is a different audience, you know, if you want. These are people coming from all over the world with a different background. And so we said we will start first. We started by inviting the top publishers. That means people who had published very good papers, very relevant papers. And we invited them in this kind of forum, meet the expert. And then, the people could discuss with the authors of relevant journal articles. And as we went on with that, we realized that it could be even more. We could have some educational topics. We could have cases which fit to this topic. And then we start from the case for the discussion, not just scientific papers. So that was basically the story, and it has been further developed by Claudio Lamartina, together with Robert Gunsburg. Claudio Lamartina was once a fellow with me in Montreal when I was chairman at the department there. So this is a very long friendship we have, where we worked these things out, and I think it's now imitated by many, many other organizations in the world.
Yes, because actually meet the experts is a very popular now expression. So basically, if I got you right, you involve very much not only in the organization but in preparing the content, the speakers. You made them authors of specific content that would be then discussed. So actually, also for this very edition of ESG Meet the Experts, many of you were invited to write an articles, and a special issue of the journal is going to be released. How much important is for the participant to not only meet in person, because all these young surgeons in particular, they say the name of Aebi, Lenki, and so they were on the book, and now we can meet them in person. What they say is we just don't meet them in person, but we access to them, we question them. Why this is important when we speak about education? It's just a matter of making them self-confident, or is also impacting their ability to operate, to understand more, to develop a philosophy, as Atul Goel says, because it's a good doctor has to develop not only technicalities and accessing technologies, but having his or her own philosophy in profession.
You know, I think that there are two or even three major elements in a value chain of education, if you want. Number one is, of course, you have to acquire knowledge. Acquire knowledge today in this world. You don't need to go to congresses and seminars and sit around the whole time. You can do that at any time, whenever you have time at home. You can acquire knowledge. But then you have to apply the knowledge. And to apply the knowledge, that's the second step, if you want, in this value chain. These are tutorials. Now, even today, we can do tutorials online. We do that. And still, it is a request from many people that they can meet with experts, so they can discuss their opinions. They can learn from them how they think and how they develop. So this is, as I said, spine or surgery in general, but spine surgery is not an exact science. This is basically a science which is based on patients. And in this second step, in these tutorials, and that's basically what we do here, we have cases, and on the base of the case, the things are discussed, and you learn that there are many different opinions, in the things. We have heard that yesterday. There are very different opinions how you access it. And that's normal. That's how medicine is. And the thing is that this is only the second step. The third step we cannot learn here. This is the surgical skill. And for that, we have developed also in the European Spine Journal a platform, the so-called open operating theater, where there are more than 350 classical videos. They are all curated, where you can learn surgical skills, how you attack a surgical problem by experts from the whole world. There are people there, the most relevant people, so you sit with them in the OR, if you want, and you can see how they do the surgery. So if you have a surgery about the specific problem, you can watch this video in the evening before, and you can make your thinking, you can do your planning. So this is in fact the third pillar. And all together, of course, you can integrate also in a postgraduate education to a spine specialist. And that's where we look for cooperations with universities. We started that many years ago, and it's going on and going on. And yes, I think it will persist even more, because to acquire knowledge, to go to meetings is useless. It's a waste of time. It's not well for the environment because you're flying around and things like that. But if you want to learn about how you apply the knowledge, then you need exchange with people, and that's what's here is done.
Thank you, Max. I want to now conduct the second part of our conversation, knowing a little bit more about you. Can we come back to several decades ago? Can you tell us where this passion and this interest towards spine pathologies came, and then how this interest got to be a need to express a leadership, because you are one of the global leader in this field. So there is the interest, but then there is a moment we're discussing also with Larry Lenke, when being interested makes you feel that you can do more for the field. Tell us about you being young and what happened.
You know, I'm 77, so I'm at least 15 years older than Lenke. When I was already doing these things, they were residents and fellows. And I was trained in Switzerland. I was first doing a board certification in general surgery. That helped me to do all the accesses myself. I don't need a so-called access surgeon. I can do that myself. Then I did specialization in orthopedics, and I realized if you want to be really competent, you have to focus. And this was the time, you know, when I started this, it was end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s of the last century. For me, it was clear the combination of a general surgery together with orthopedics, that was spine, because you have to go here, you have to go here, you have to go everywhere. So I went to the US. From the Swiss National Foundation of Research, from the government, I got a stipend to do fellowships in the United States and also in the UK. And so I went to the best centers at this time in spine surgery. So one of the big centers was, of course, the Twin Cities Scoliosis Center in Minneapolis, and also the DuPont Institute in Wilmington. And I was with Fielding in New York. So I was really with the big centers at this time. And so I came back to Switzerland, and I was very lucky that there was a new chairman in orthopedics in the University of Bern. And he said, I want to create a spine section in orthopedics specialized for spine. So I created the first spine unit in a university in Switzerland. And then everybody started to do that. And from there, I was then invited on the chair in orthopedics at McGill University, which is a huge department. And that's where I also changed. You know, this was many different hospitals. And so I decided together with the staff, with the professors, that we focus in one hospital on spine, in one hospital on hip, knee, in one hospital for arthroscopy. You know, when I came, they did 3 arthroscopies a day. When I left, they did 15 to 20 a day, because we started to systematize everything. And it was interesting because later, also in other universities in Canada, they did the same thing. And then after 12 years, they invited me on the Maurice M. Müller chair in Bern, Switzerland. Maurice M. Müller was the big hip surgeon and the founder of the AO, you know. And also, when I was resident, I was with Allgäuer. He was the co-founder of the AO. So they told me, you know, I asked them to create AO specialized for spine. So we created AO Spine. And where we really could do all these experiments with education, the principles. So in this environment, in the University of Bern, we continued this work, and you know, there was always something new. We have registers, we have now an online education system and all that. And interesting is always that very, very quickly people copy it and do it, you know. And I don't really care. I mean, I was interested in better education, but I see now that everybody wants to do that. But this is a huge work when you really want to do that. You have to revise these lectures all the time, to have work very competently together with the teachers. And Claudio was one also. We had a so-called editorial board of 10 people, and Claudio and Pedro were members of this. So we have a very long span of life where we work together.
Thank you very much. Let's focus always still from your personal feelings on this very edition of ESG Media Experts 2025. Launching a project, looking at the project in its way, makes you generate observations, also understanding how do you feel being here 10 years later as for this course.
Oh, I think it developed very, very beautifully. You know, you have here top people who are presenting a topic, and then the adequate cases are presented and discussed, and it's an open place where people can really discuss without having any, if you want to have to be afraid to talk. It's an open, environment. And I think this is a very, very good development when you compare that with other meetings. But, you know, also that is not alone. People now imitate it very well, you know. But I think I have not been involved in the last few years anymore in the practical application, but I'm very, very happy to see how this develops, you know. But it will not replace training in skills and assessment in skills. You know, I tried to say that yesterday. You know, this belief in technology, this is a very dangerous thing. Of course, we need technology. This is just a tool, but this is not the principle. The principle is the interaction between the patient and the doctor. You know?
So we can say that the communication skills, the relationship with the patient, and anatomy needs the surgeon to be there, to be able to work also without technology if something happens. If electricity stops working, probably surgeons can be divided into groups. The ones that have to be ahead, they will keep operating, and the ones that will be stopping.
You know, there are many, that's a big danger, the younger colleagues, because they don't have the access to the cases as we had. You know, it was everything new. There was no spine surgery when I was young. We were in the moment to develop this thing. But now these younger people, they are in an established world where spine surgery, there are big guys in spine, so they cannot learn themselves, you know. And this is very difficult for them. And that's the reason why I think we need to develop new teaching models so these people learn the skills and they are also assessed about the skills, because you cannot send these guys to the patient without knowing this and having the skills, you know. It's very dangerous. And we will have, and we talk about costs, this will raise the costs because there are already today, you know, there are law offices specializing to basically fight doctors, you know, and they fight, of course, by telling this guy is not educated, is not competent to do that. And we have to make sure that these people, when they are young, they are safe, they can work, and they cannot be attacked by everybody, you know.
Last question. Usually private life and friendship is part of the private life. It's something that stays behind the scenes. But in this very story, your friendship over the years with Claudio, you mentioned it, made a difference. So I would like to ask you why friendship can be connected to being a good professional person, and something that characterizes your friendship with Claudio.
You know, there are many different ways of friendship, but I think when you really want to create something, you need to involve people. It is not one person who can do that. You can do that as a group. People who think in the same way, who try to do the things in the same way. And so these are, in a way, we are related in our brains. And you find these people. I had the privilege in my life always to find this kind of people. And with Claudio, I remember very well, he came to Montreal in 1994 or something like that. And from this moment on, we started to develop things together. And he could adapt this very quickly. And he became better than the master. It's normal, and that's good. You know, this is very important, that you get people around you who will carry on and even make it better. I mean, if you do something, you have to be aware that there will be people who will be better than you. But that's what makes you very satisfied.
Yeah, because it's the best result that a good master can aim to. Max, it was a very inspiring conversation. I thank you very much, and I hope to have the chance to talk to you in the upcoming years.
Thank you. Thank you.